Today I'm going into Costco to get my hearing checked. I haven't had my hearing checked in quite a while, probably over a year and a half maybe. Okay, so I'm back in my car after my visit to Costco, and I'll show you the results and talk to you about some of the changes that were made for my hearing aids. They wouldn't let me film inside getting my hearing tested, but I can't wait to update you on what I found out. So I'll probably do that once I get home. My little backseat driver is ready to go home. Hi, my name is Chantel. Thank you for joining my channel. If you've already subscribed, thank you so much. And if you haven't, please consider subscribing. It would really help my channel out a lot. Today, talking about my results from my Costco hearing test. I couldn't believe that it had been 3 years since my last hearing test. 3 years, which is crazy, but then I guess I had moved and I had different things going on in my life, so I just didn't think to get it done. Going into the hearing center, I anticipated that I would not come out with good results. I just assumed like after 3 years there would be significant changes in my hearing. I had mentioned how my hearing aids sometimes slip out of my ear. Also that when I eat and when I talk, often I have to push my hearing aid back in, specifically about my left one, because that seemed to be the one that was the most troublesome. A couple things suggested that I did go home with were, of course, that little hook thing. I'll try to put the official name is on there. I know a lot of people use it to pull their hearing aid in and out. I have never been a fan of those. For some reason, they rub my ear like that. They rub the edge of my ear. So here you can see where I have that piece on my hearing aid, and what I'm doing next is to remove that piece. Now, this is your preference. Some people really like it, and the people at the hearing center did tell me that it would help keep my hearing aid stationary, kind of anchors it. So that might be something that some of you could use and could find helpful. I, on the other hand, every time I've tried it, I just am not comfortable with it. Hold on, there's my dog. Even before my hearing test, I did share with the specialist that I noticed things were not as loud as I was expecting them to be. I often found that I had to turn up my hearing aids from what the normal setting was, and I assumed that that is something she was going to need to be adjusting. However, what they suggested was that I change out the very tip of my hearing aid to help amplify it. She said that I was actually on the very edge of needing to do that, and although the system recommended that I stay at the normal level, she thought that that might be something that could help. These are not apples to apples, because one is my Oticon and one is the hearing aid from Costco, Kirkland. I just wanted to show you what the two tips look like. So the one that I switched out on my Kirkland one was closer in size to what this old Oticon one I have is. That is something you may want to discuss with your audiologist or your hearing aid specialist going forward, is if that's an option for you to help amplify the sound without completely changing your hearing aid. Hearing aids are not cheap. We don't want to have to reinvest in something if there can be a fix with our current hearing aid. So on to my result. Dun, 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 dun. Of course, they had me do the tone test. You click the little button, and I knew in one ear, I just was like, oh, this is not good. I feel like I'm not hearing nearly as much as I should. And the other ear was a lot better, or so I thought. Then they had the voice come on where I had to do word recognition. And again, I just thought I was bombing it. We did my right ear first, then my left ear. I felt like I was really struggling with the word recognition, and I kept trying to be positive about it, but I would kind of look at her after I said a word like, is that right? what did I say there? But when the results came back, I just looked at her like, okay, what are you gonna say? How bad is it? And the results said that actually my hearing hadn't changed that much in 3 years. There were a few tones that had changed, which I had anticipated, but overall it was pretty close to even from what it was before. Now that doesn't mean that I am in the clear. I joked with one of my brothers, like, wouldn't it have been funny if you go in for your hearing test and you find out your hearing's gotten better? Wouldn't that be amazing? However, that's not the case in my situation, and I know that over time it will probably get worse. And find out what could be done with your current hearing aids without having to completely reinvent the wheel and get new ones. Also, get your hearing checked more often than I do. In hindsight, I should go in every year or every 2 years, especially now that I'm in my 50s, just to keep on top of it. When I got home from my hearing test, I had these larger pieces in my ear. I had that little hook thingamajig in my ear, and she had put a different dome in my ear. Within about 2 hours, everything was so amplified. And she did mention she did turn up my hearing aids a little bit in the volume in certain tones, but not very much. But everything seemed like crazy loud to me, and my ear canal physically hurt, like it was being pushed up against. So I switched out the domes, and I took off the little hook thing and immediately felt better. And I immediately heard better, but I did not hear overly crazy like I was when I first got home. Make sure you just kind of take time to evaluate what works, what doesn't work for you. In the moment when you are in the audiologist or the hearing booth, sometimes you just don't know until you walk around for a little bit. If the settings are correct, if the domes are correct, the fitting is correct. One thing that was suggested to me was perhaps I should look at multi-ear pieces that could go in instead of the domes, that could take up that space and wouldn't move. So that is something I'm going to evaluate when I go forward with my next set of hearing aids. These hearing aids expire, their warranty expires in February, so I would imagine within the next year I may need to reinvest in some new hearing aids, and that's something that I will look at as things progress, as my budget progresses too. Thank you again so much for following me. I would love it if you liked it and you subscribed and did all that fun stuff. And please comment if you've learned some things in your hearing tests that surprised you. I actually learned a few other things in my my visit to the hearing center that I will share on an upcoming video. Thank you.